This is a full story. Kitten wishes you all a happy and enjoyable story. On the eve of our wedding anniversary, my wife lied to me, saying she was too busy with work to celebrate. I believed her, but the truth was, she had secretly gone home with her first love to meet his parents and have a reunion dinner together. My wife and daughter sat beside that man, smiling warmly, as if I were the outsider. When I exposed everything, my wife snapped impatiently. It was just a meal. I didn't tell you, because I didn't want you to overthink. I was too angry to speak. The air froze between us. Then my daughter grabbed an ashtray and smashed it against my head, shouting, "It's all your fault. Don't yell at Mom. You're petty and pathetic. You don't deserve to be my dad." They thought I'd lose my temper after finding out the truth, but instead, I quietly packed my bags, pressed a hand against my bleeding forehead, and asked for a divorce. "Stop arguing. Let's get divorced." After listening to them attack me for more than half an hour, I rubbed my temples in exhaustion and repeated myself. Haley frowned, her face full of mockery and disdain. "You're using divorce to threaten me. Fine, let's divorce." Alice, our daughter, stood to the side, wearing the same look of contempt as her mother. She said, "Dad, you're already in your 30s. Why are you so obsessed with Uncle Tony? You're nothing compared to him. And if Mom really liked him, you would have never gotten to marry her." Her tone was cold and sharp. In the past, I might have felt heartbroken, might have tried to reason with her. She was the daughter I raised, with all my time and love. Her ridicule would have torn me apart. I had devoted too much to her, to accept the way she had turned out. But to her, she was always right, just like her mother, cruel and selfish to the core. By now, my heart had already gone numb. Nothing they said could move me. I just stood there, expressionless, pushed Alice aside, and quietly began packing my clothes. Alice crossed her arms and leaned against the doorframe, sneering. "What now? Running away because you can't beat Uncle Tony? Dad, don't be childish. Once you're out that door, Mom will never like you again." She kept talking, each word stabbing me in the heart. I stayed silent, even after packing everything. Before I left, I still asked the stupidest question. "Do you want to go with Dad or with Mom?" Alice froze, then answered without hesitation. "Of course with Mom. You're just a useless loser who can't earn money. Why would I go with you? All these years, Mom worked so hard outside. You just stayed home to look after me. That kind of life should have been enough for you. Why can't you ever learn to be grateful?" How absurd. At some point, she began comparing me to Tony and everything. She kept praising him, saying how smart and handsome he was, how educated and accomplished, and how he and I were worlds apart. Even though I raised her with everything I had, in her heart, I would always lose to a stranger. What broke me wasn't just this moment, but all the little moments that came before. I remember one rainy night a year ago. Haley got a call and left without hesitation. Even though Alice had a high fever, I begged her to stay and comfort our daughter, but she replied coldly, "I already spend enough time with you and our daughter. Now that Tony is sick, I need to be with him." She left with her car keys. A flash of lightning lit the sky. Alice woke up in tears, calling for her mom. I held her all night, rocking her gently, trying to help her sleep. The storm caused a power outage, so I sat beside her, fanning her with my hand the entire night. That night, she mumbled in her sleep, "Daddy, Daddy." I sighed and whispered, "Don't be scared, Daddy's here." The next second, she murmured again, "Uncle Tony, can you be my daddy instead?" So that's it. The daddy in her dreams was not me, but Tony. I'll never forget the heartbreak of that moment. It felt like my chest was being broken open piece by piece, pain flooding my body. That was when I realized true sorrow can steal your breath away. To stop her from seeing my tears, I bent over, gasping for air, my tears falling uncontrollably. Eventually, I couldn't even tell what place I had in this family anymore. Since they loved Tony so much, I would just leave. After all, I had long had enough of this life. My thoughts returned to the present, and I spoke calmly. "Tell your mom to change your last name when she has time. From today on, you're no longer my daughter." Finally, the bedroom stirred at my words, and Haley walked over. Only then did I notice she had been doing her makeup the entire time I packed. To her, divorce was just another minor skirmish. She believed I would never leave her. That's why she acted so dismissively and confidently. Now, her makeup was half done, framing her delicate and pretty face. She questioned me coldly. "Why are you talking to your daughter like that? She's just a child." So what if her words were a little harsh? "We just had a meal with Tony. Can you stop being so unreasonable?" Unreasonable. That was the word she had said to me the most over the years. I once loved her so deeply that I tolerated all her cruelty. But now that love was gone, and all that that was left was confrontation. Without even thinking, I sneered. I'm doing this for her own good. Since she sees me as such a disgrace, why not let her take Tony's last name? Or yours. Whatever makes you happy. Either way, from this moment on, I no longer have a daughter. Alice had never been treated this way before. Her eyes immediately turned red. She had been spoiled, like a little princess all her life. What I said was like a slap across her face. I don't want a dad like you. I don't care. Get out of my house. Grandpa and Grandma were right. You'll never compare to Uncle Tony. You don't deserve to be my dad. I turned away and walked out, not wanting to waste another word. Alice suddenly appeared behind me and smashed the ashtray hard against the back of my head. A sharp pain exploded, and I felt warm blood trickling down uncontrollably. I froze. She froze too, but then she forced herself to speak. You started it. You deserved it. I turned back and met Haley's amused gaze. She gave a dismissive laugh and stepped in front of Alice. It's all Daddy's fault. He's the one who's petty. Our Alice did nothing wrong. This time, he's lucky it's just a little blood. Bad daddies get punished right. Don't cry, Alice. Mommy will take you to see Uncle Tony, okay? Those words worked like magic. Alice gave a sweet smile and said, okay. Alice loves Uncle Tony the most. Holding my bleeding head, I left that place without a word. Not long after, Haley began appearing in public with Tony at all kinds of events. Tony would subtly show off the ring on his ring finger, which sparked a lot of discussion. Haley didn't care. In fact, she even encouraged it with a smile. Tony and I are very good friends, and we're each other's one and only. She was never the kind of woman to show her emotions in public. I knew this was her way of punishing me. Haley was certain that I still had feelings for her. She thought this would force me to come back to her. Then I got a call from her parents. Rocky, we're very happy with your decision. Haley has always been an affectionate child. I appreciate that you were the one to suggest separation. You and my daughter are from two very different worlds. You're not good enough for her. Tony is a well-behaved boy from a good family. He will take good care of Alice. In a while, we'll have her change her last name. They always looked down on me, and now they were overjoyed. I replied with a quiet feeling neither joy nor sorrow. After hanging up, Alice sent me several messages. Though she was still young, she was already smart enough to send texts. When I opened them, I saw photos of her with Tony. She was sitting on his shoulders, smiling sweetly, with a cute toy headband in her hair. Uncle Tony took me to the amusement park. Even without you, I can still live a great life. I think you should hurry up and divorce Mommy so Uncle Tony can be my dad. I sighed and blocked her contact. After a moment of silence, I suddenly chuckled. I laughed at how foolish I had been. Haley's parents had always looked down on me, yet I had tried so hard to keep this marriage together. For the sake of love, I gave up my pride and dignity, compromising again and again. In the end, I had done everything just to benefit someone else. Thinking of that, I suddenly felt a dull ache in my forehead. The wound was deep. To avoid infection, I needed to go to the hospital. While I waited for my number, I saw a familiar face and froze. She had long hair down to her waist, wore rimless glasses, and looked scholarly and elegant. She froze too. Her voice trembled as she spoke. What a coincidence. It's been so long. In her arms was a little girl. After a short conversation, I learned the full story. Eileen's sister's family had died suddenly in a car accident, leaving only Daphne behind. As the child's aunt, Eileen had no choice but to take her in. But Eileen worked as a doctor, and her job kept her so busy that she often neglected the girl. That was how this unexpected encounter happened. I scratched my head, and her eyes turned serious. That wound on your head is serious. Come in now. I'll disinfect it for you. Only then did I realize she was the trauma clinic doctor. No wonder she had come out to call a number. After treating me, she suddenly called out, Rocky, do you have a job right now? Would you consider helping me out? I froze. A crazy thought flashed through my mind, and that thought soon became reality. Can you help me take care of Daphne? I know your major was psychology, and your graduate and doctoral studies were focused on child psychology. This child has some trauma. I thought of the adorable little girl, and my heart softened. Emotion took over, and I nodded, agreeing to take care of her. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Daphne's school was holding a parent-teacher meeting the next day. I picked out a nice outfit early, even went to get my hair done. That night, Haley suddenly called me. I won't have time to attend our daughter's meeting tomorrow, just like before. You go. Her voice was cold as ever, as if letting me go was a kind of gift. After a pause, she added, I'm sorry about what happened that day. You've been gone for a month. That's long enough, isn't it? I was washing dishes, holding my phone between my shoulder and ear, and replied, I'm not going. Instead of saying this, do you have time to finalize the divorce? Stop delaying it. My time is valuable too. There was a moment of silence. On the other end of the line, Then Haley said, "You're serious about this?" It was just a meal with Tony. His parents and mine are old friends, and she was about to keep talking, but I interrupted impatiently. "I don't care who you eat with. I just want a divorce." I couldn't help but notice the sound of running water from the other end, even a man's voice. She was with Tony, calling me at the same time. Did she feel no shame? That disgust made me want to cut ties with her immediately. And clearly, my words made her furious. She said darkly, "You're unbelievable. Fine, I'll have Tony go to the meeting. Just don't come begging to return later." I sneered, "Do whatever you want. Just let me know when everything's ready so we can settle this quickly." A sharp beep ended the call. She must have been livid. The next day, I went to Daphne's meeting as usual, making sure to avoid Alice's classroom, but I still ran into her. Her face, so similar to Haley's, was ice cold, twisted into a mocking smirk. "Changed your mind. Coming to attend my meeting now. I told you before, Mom won't indulge you anymore. If you apologize now, maybe I'll let you come to my meeting." She was aggressive, so sure I would back down. But then, the little girl behind me peeked out and said softly, "Uncle, aren't we going to class?" Alice's face darkened instantly. She asked, shocked, "Who is she?" Her eyes were full of hostility. Before I could react, she shoved Daphne to the ground. I rushed to help Daphne up and snapped, apologized to her. Alice smirked and said to Daphne, "You heard that right. My dad told you to apologize to me. He's clearly here for my meeting." I took a deep breath to calm myself down. "Alice, apologize to Daphne." Alice stared at me in disbelief, her eyes wide, stepping back in grievance, tears glimmering in her eyes. There was hurt in them too. I didn't have time to care about that. I turned to check whether Daphne was hurt. Haley appeared from around the corner. Seeing Alice's distressed face, she rushed over and held her tightly. Then she glanced at the girl in my arms and mocked, "Bullying your own daughter to protect a stranger. You've really grown some guts." Tony followed behind her, shaking his head disapprovingly. "Rocky, no matter what, you're still Alice's father. There shouldn't be grudges between father and daughter. Are you so mad that I attended Alice's parent meeting that you had to vent your anger on the child?" He was clever with words, turning the situation into a trap that left me speechless. In the past, I might have overthought it too, feeling jealous about Tony attending the meetings. Last semester, Haley had used chores as an excuse and sent Tony in my place. Alice had been thrilled. She clung to Tony's leg and said, "I love Uncle Tony the most." After the meeting, he's taking me to the amusement park. She noticed how empty I looked and said in disgust, "Dad, you stay home all day looking like a mess. It's embarrassing when you show up at school. Besides, you only ever care about my grades. But Mom has so much money. Even if I get bad grades, it doesn't matter, so stop meddling." Then she kissed Tony on the cheek and said sweetly, "Uncle Tony, let's go. Ignore him." Tony gave me a provocative glance, then walked out with Alice. Haley didn't care either. Before leaving, she warned me, "Tony is a simple person. He's not a threat to your position. Don't make a scene and embarrass him. You and him, you're from different worlds." At that moment, I guess I really did feel hurt. Daphne tugged on my sleeve carefully. "Uncle, we're going to be late for the parent meeting." I snapped out of it, glanced calmly at the three of them. Alice is no longer my daughter, and since she made a mistake, she should apologize. As for you, I don't care who attends her meetings. Haley and I are getting divorced soon. You're welcome to be Alice's new dad. I ignored the way Haley's face turned pale, took Daphne's hand, and walked away. The meeting went smoothly. As we reached the gate, I saw Haley again. Alice was nowhere in sight. Haley stood alone by the car, holding a cigarette between her fingers, looking worn out. I knew things had to end eventually, so I asked Daphne to wait by the gate and walked over. When she saw me, Haley put out the cigarette. "Rocky, I need to talk to you." I looked away and replied coldly, "We have nothing to talk about. Just get the divorce papers ready. I don't want a cent from you." She sighed. Her voice was surprisingly gentle. "You've made your point. Let your anger out. Are you calm now? Alice was crying for you today. She misses you so much." I scoffed and replied indifferently, "She has nothing to do with me anymore. Let her go find her daddy, Tony. It's not like I didn't know. That was their little secret. When no one was around, Alice would call Tony her dad. She never truly saw me as her father, and I wasn't going to force myself into that role again." Haley's expression froze, clearly angry. "How can you say that? Am I some kind of object you can just hand off whenever you like?" Letting Alice call Tony dad was just the first step toward marriage. Haley understood that, and it made her furious. I couldn't understand this woman anymore. She was the one who said I wasn't as good as Tony, yet she was also the one who didn't want to marry him. Luckily, I no longer cared to understand her. After 10 years, my love for her had worn out completely. I said flatly, "Whatever you choose to do, it has nothing to do with me. I just want a divorce. Don't contact me again. It's a waste of time." I glanced at my watch, knowing it was time. I went back and took Daphne home. She looked up at me with concern. "Uncle, was that your daughter today?" I paused paused for a moment and then answered, "She was, but not anymore." I used to think saying that out loud would be hard, but instead, it felt like a relief. At some point, cutting ties with that mother and daughter became the one thing that truly freed me. From then on, life returned to routine. I took Daphne to school, picked her up afterward. I never saw that mother and daughter again. The next time I saw them was on TV. Haley's company was going public. Alice stood beside her, dressed like a princess. Behind them, Tony wore a custom-made suit, calmly answering the reporter's questions. One reporter asked excitedly, "Is it true you two were childhood sweethearts? Now that the company is going public, are you planning to get married? On your wedding anniversary, you even attended the Haley family banquet together. Does that confirm the rumors?" Haley frowned slightly, a rare expression. She replied slowly, "I already have a husband. Tony and I are just business partners and good friends. Please stop spreading rumors. My husband would be upset if he heard such things." She smiled gently, like a woman deeply in love with her husband. Behind her, Tony's expression darkened. He looked visibly unhappy. On his finger was a very expensive ring. It was Haley who gave him that ring. Everyone knew what it meant. He had invited those reporters on purpose, hoping Haley would give him a proper title. But in front of everyone, Haley denied their relationship. How could he possibly accept that? I looked away, no longer watching the woman on the screen, and took a quiet sip of tea. I wasn't arrogant enough to believe that Haley had said that because of me. It was probably because the company was about to go public. She had to protect her image. Otherwise, she wouldn't have kept ignoring my messages about the divorce, delaying it again and again. At her core, she was still the same selfish person. That night, Haley suddenly called me, her voice laced with drunkenness. "Rocky, I'm downstairs at your place. There's nothing between us anymore. If you want a divorce, then come see me right now." Her voice suddenly rose. I sighed, put on my clothes, and went downstairs. She was wearing the same beautiful gown she had worn on TV. It accentuated every curve, her features so perfect that any man would fall for her. Any man, except me. She stared at me, her lips slightly parted. "Rocky, when will you stop being angry? We've been together for 10 years. Why let a small thing like a dinner tear us apart? Can't you just compromise for the child?" I let out a cold laugh. Compromise. I had compromised. For 10 years in her home, I endured her parents' cold treatment, was belittled by both mother and daughter, and now she wanted me to compromise again. For the sake of the child. I pity the child, but who pitied me? There's no more possibility between us. Haley choked on her words, but still tried to speak gently. My parents were the ones who insisted on inviting Tony to dinner. You know how much they like him. It's not like I deliberately kept you out. It was a last-minute situation. I meant to come home and explain. There's really nothing between me and Tony. This was the first time she had ever explained anything about Tony. I had waited 10 years to hear this one explanation. I closed my eyes briefly, feeling exhausted. "I understand, but you don't need to come to me anymore. It's not that I'm angry. It's just that I don't love you anymore. I don't want to keep this marriage alive." Love, that word had only belonged to my younger years. Back then, Haley was different. When I casually said I wanted something, she folded 999 paper stars for me without hesitation. The stars glowed so brightly that night, and in the silence, all I could hear was her shy voice saying, "Rocky, do you like me?" That youthful affection was buried in those little moments, and buried for 10 years because of how kind she had once been. I endured 10 years of a loveless marriage. I owed her nothing. The Haley standing in front of me now was no longer the woman I had once loved. Her face went pale, as if a wall had suddenly risen between us. Losing control, Haley shouted, "No, you love me. Rocky, you've loved me for 10 years. I know better than anyone how much you love me." She rose on her tiptoes and kissed me hard. The scent of alcohol clung to her lips. I immediately shoved her aside and furiously wiped my mouth. "I don't love you anymore, not even a little. If you care at all about these 10 years, then please grant me this divorce. I don't want any connection to you. Just let me go." While she stood there in a daze, I pushed our wedding ring into her hand and said coldly, "This is the ring you gave me. I'm returning it now. You can give it to whoever you want. Just know one thing. I will never love you again for the rest of my life." She stood there, holding the ring, frozen like a statue. Even after everything I said, even after all the humiliation, she still didn't want to divorce me. So, I filed a formal petition with the court because we had a child. My first attempt was denied. I wasn't worried. I simply filed again. The day before the hearing, there was a sudden knock on my apartment door. When I opened it, Alice stood there. She swallowed hard when she saw me, clearly afraid. "Daddy, I miss you. Can you take me back with you? Mommy's been drinking a lot these days. She keeps crying." I crouched down, looked her in the eyes, and said, said, "I'm not your father anymore." That sentence seemed to strike something deep within her. She burst into loud sobs. "No, you are my daddy. I know I was wrong. I shouldn't have hit you with the ashtray. I shouldn't have said all those terrible things. I really know I was wrong. I miss you so much. Every night I have nightmares. When I wake up, you're never there. I'm so scared, so scared." A little girl's tears can often soften the hardest heart, but not mine, not anymore. I had poured too much into Alice already, too much to feel pity now, so my voice remained firm. "We agreed back then. Tony is your father. You and I are no longer related. It's still daylight. Hurry home now." She didn't listen. She tried to cling to my leg, just like she always did when she wanted something. But this time, I didn't give in. I didn't comfort her. I pushed her away, coldly. As I closed the door, I saw Haley standing at the corner, watching silently. Her expression was too complicated to read, somewhere between sorrow and regret. I didn't understand it, and I didn't want to, because feelings that come too late are cheaper than grass. The next day, the sun was bright, the sky clear. Everything went exactly as I had expected. The court was already leaning in my favor, and I felt calm, even a little cheerful. Haley was growing desperate. During a break, she stormed over to me, her voice pleading, "Rocky, please don't divorce me. Okay, can you really bear to let Alice lose her father? She's still so young. She's innocent." I smiled. Why would I? Before she could be comforted by my answer, I continued, "Isn't Tony her new dad? Your parents like him. I believe you'll have a happy family together. Haley, I truly wish you happiness." I wasn't lying. I meant every word. Her parents had always looked down on me, convinced I was a gold digger after status and wealth, even though I had graduated from one of the top universities in the country. Even with a bright future ahead of me, they never wanted me to work. It wasn't that I didn't want to fight for a career. Haley had told me herself, "Rocky, our daughter needs her parents, but my job is too demanding. You'll have to make the sacrifice." I spent a long time preparing myself mentally before I gave up everything to stay home and raise her child. At first, Haley was just like before, coming home early, gentle and caring toward me. I didn't know when it all began to change. Tony entered her company under her mother's recommendation, and everything shifted. The one who stood beside Haley was no longer me, but Tony. We had fewer and fewer conversations. Her temper worsened by the day. Eventually, Haley started defending Tony. Even Alice began to prefer him. By the time I noticed what was happening, it was already too late. My wife, my daughter, my family, all taken away by Tony. Now my life is peaceful and good. There's no reason to go back. Haley didn't say anything more. Sadness seemed to hollow her out. She was like a shell with no soul inside. I watched her walk back into the courtroom, her steps unsteady. The once proud woman almost tripped over her own feet. That's how heartbroken she was. From a distance, Alice looked at me, tears rolling down her cheeks too. In the end, Haley and I divorced. Alice went with her. I took nothing, left with empty hands. Aileen, grateful for how I had helped with Daphne, found me a job that matched my background. My degree had always been in psychology. She used my excellent resume to help me secure a respectable position at the hospital, a role in child psychology research. Daphne became my first little patient. After so many days of care, she had stepped out of the shadow of losing her parents and blossomed into a bright, cheerful little son. Half a year later, I met someone unexpected. Alice had developed severe depression. When Haley brought her to me, she had already self-harmed twice. Those proud eyes were now vacant, and the once spirited little girl seemed drained of all vitality. The moment she saw me, her eyes brightened briefly, but soon dimmed again. Haley looked worn out too, thinner than before, no longer the ambitious career woman she used to be. I did not treat her specially because of her identity. On the contrary, because we were blood relatives, I could not be her psychologist. After hesitating, I sent her to the hospital for a full checkup, which showed Alice's mental state was close to collapse. Her physical health had deteriorated severely, and her condition was critical. I pulled Haley aside to the other side of the ward and said coldly, "What did you do? Alice's body is as fragile as a blank sheet of paper. One wrong move and she'll break." As her mother, didn't you notice anything wrong? Haley looked exhausted and said, "I had no choice. After the company went public, I was too busy, but I asked Tony to look after her. I didn't expect it to get this bad. If I had gotten home earlier that day, maybe Alice wouldn't have." She choked on the words. "I'm the one who failed her. Rocky, only after you left did I realize your work at home was not easy at all. I was wrong to blame you. Without you, I was useless, and I couldn't take care of Alice at all." She seemed about to cry, and I sighed deeply. Both mother and daughter were in bad shape. But the priority was Alice's mental and physical health. The one who unties the knot must be the one to loosen it. You have to talk to her, understand her true feelings. I can't help her. I recommend another reliable psychologist. I gave Haley the WeChat contact of the psychologist next door. Just then, Alice suddenly pushed open the door and came in. She spoke with a hint of grievance. Mom, I don't like Uncle Tony. Uncle Tony isn't nice to me at all. He said he would marry you soon, and then we'd have another baby. He was pretending before, just to drive Daddy away. As she said that, she glanced at me unintentionally. Meeting my calm eyes, she lost her courage. Haley was shocked by what Alice said and hurriedly left with her. A few days later, an unexpected visitor appeared in my clinic. Tony's eyes were red. He confronted me in a breakdown. How can you be such a jerk? Stirring up trouble between me and Haley after the divorce. Haley has loved only me from the start. Give it up. I'm the only one who can be her husband. As he spoke, he pulled out a knife from his pocket, attempting to attack me. Seeing the blade, my heart skipped a beat. Calm down. Killing me won't benefit you. Do you want Haley to completely give up on you? Tony repeated the words, give up, losing his mind completely. She gave up on me long ago. That bitch said she loved you. After all these years by her side, I don't even have a name. If only you weren't here. If only you. He lunged at me, the blade almost piercing my chest by an inch. He suddenly collapsed. Behind me, Haley appeared out of nowhere, smashing his head with a chair. She threw herself into my arms, crying, "Are you okay, Rocky? Does it hurt?" I wasn't really hurt, but her urgent tone reminded me of over 10 years ago. This stubborn young woman held me like this back then, calling me Rocky over and over. I steadied myself and quickly called emergency services. Luckily, the clinic was in a hospital, though somewhat remote. The paramedics arrived quickly. Maybe I should thank Haley for stopping Tony's violence. Hospital rules forbid doctors from harming patients, so if Tony had really wanted to kill me, I wouldn't have survived. Haley's timely arrival saved my life. I reported to the police. The clinic's surveillance captured Tony's attack clearly. When he recovered, he would be taken back to jail. This time, no one would save him. After Haley's parents learned that he had abused Alice, they stopped protecting him. As for Alice and Haley, they completely hated Tony. Some might say it was a deserved punishment for an evil man. Alice became a patient of the psychologist next door. Because the clinic was nearby, I often saw her. She usually sat outside the ward, watching me handle daily tasks. Day by day, she became more normal and cheerful, and her condition steadily improved. Her psychologist told me Alice's mental state was stable enough to end treatment. On the day treatment ended, she hurriedly said, "Dad, I think you're amazing. No wonder when I was sad, you always cheered me up. I was childish before. Will you forgive me?" I was stunned for a moment, then patiently replied, "You were the patient, so I hoped you would recover. But as your father, you are no longer my daughter. Your mother and I are no longer involved, but I still want you to grow up, healthy and happy." Alice's eyes filled with tears, and she said reluctantly, "But I think Mom loves you too. Why can't you be husband and wife again?" I continued to explain. Some principles, once broken, cannot be undone. We can't pretend nothing happened. Alice seemed to understand, but was still sad. Haley picked her up, wearing a gloomy expression. After seeing Alice off, Haley pulled me aside and said, "Rocky, I'm sorry. It wasn't until you left that I realized I had loved you for more than 10 years. You were the one I truly loved. I was impulsive then. I listened to others and thought you were a failure. Now I remember. I was the one who kept you from working." After some rest, Haley had regained her health. Her complexion rosy again. Still the beautiful CEO Haley. Her voice was sincere, and I thought anyone would be moved by her. I also wondered if there was a chance to start over, but my heart told me this was the life I wanted now. I no longer loved Haley. Loving someone means giving up everything. Once love is gone, it's very hard to start again. That's unfair to both of us. I shook my head, and Haley smiled knowingly. She gave a bitter laugh. "I understand. In a few days, I'll take Alice abroad. She doesn't fit in with education here. Maybe we won't meet again for a long time." I smiled and waved my hand, saying, "That's good. I wish you all the best." Separating is the best ending. Soon after, a plane took Haley and Alice away from the country, and I stayed behind in my small clinic, seeing children with depression. Maybe because I had a tragic childhood myself, I wanted to help them avoid the same path. I loved my profession, and I loved the life I had now. Just like I thought not long ago, everything was getting better. I could live the way I wanted. The end. If you like Kitten's story, please follow and like it. Updated every morning at 9 a.m.